People often ask me, what's my favorite woodworking project? Or what's a project they can do if they don't have a lot of wood? Or one they can make and try to sell? Or one that's good for getting into woodworking? And I believe there's one project that perfectly answers all of these questions, and that is the wooden crate. Now this is one of the few projects that I've written up plans for that I've gone back to multiple times because I've needed it for different reasons. I have a crate for holding pieces of oversized wood, I have a crate for my gardening supplies, I have a crate for some random woodworking supplies, and I have one that I made just for fun. And this will be crate number 5 that I'm making to show all of you how easy it is to do and to show you the plans that I've made so all of you can make your own. Now, of the 4 crates that I have behind me, 3 of them are made exclusively using wood from pallets, and that's what I'll be doing for this last crate, because people tend not to trust wood from pallets and they don't think it's useful, and it very clearly is. So I'll be explaining a little bit about what wood to look for, what not to use, and how to use this wood to your advantage. Now the first step for building this out of a pallet is actually getting the pallet. They're pretty easy to find on things like Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, and you can also ask around at local businesses to see if they have any they're trying to get rid of. Now the next step is going to be checking for specific stamps on the pallet. And the 2 you're looking for are either HT for heat treated or KD for kiln dried. Generally, these are going to be the only pallets you want to work with unless you're absolutely certain of where the wood came from and how it was used in transport. For more in-depth safety info, check the 1001 Pallets website or the plans that I made, both linked down in the video description. Now once you've got your pallet, you're going to want to start disassembling it. And what you're going to want to do is cut as close as you possibly can to these skids. This is going to give you the longest possible planks to work with and the most available options for making your wood crate. I've done this many times on this channel already, and I don't have a full-size pallet to cut up right now, but I do have plenty of boards that are offcuts from previous pallets I've taken apart. Taking stock, I had 4 wider and shorter boards, 6 narrower and longer boards, 3 extra long boards, which I intended to use for the bottom of the crate, and 1 broken 2x4 skid that I intended to use for inside support. As I start to measure here and get all of the dimensions for everything, let me explain the general dimensions that you want for a wooden crate. I have found that having the long side of the crate be about 1.5 times longer than the short side of the crate works best. Here's a little table for some conversions on size to get an idea of what that would be. Now my dimensions are going to be slightly off of this formula because the wood I was working with had some unique sizes, and if yours falls under this category, don't sweat it, you should be able to make one that looks very similar. As for the boards that are going to be on the bottom of the crate, you want these to be the length of the long side boards plus 2 times the thickness of the short side boards, which usually is between 1/4 to 1/2 inch. Once you're all finished measuring everything, you can get to work cutting, and pretty much any saw will do the job. Whether that's a classic hand saw, a jigsaw, a bow saw, a circular saw, a flush cut saw, or any other method you can come up with, they'll all work. This is optional, but it's nice to cut handles into the short sides of the crate so it's easier to pick up. Now that we're onto the assembly, let me explain why I believe this project answers all of the questions I talked about in the beginning. First off, this is definitely my favorite project to make. I even wrote up this whole guide because I like doing it so much. It answers all of these questions, and it's also great as storage, which if there's any other woodworkers watching this, I'm sure you know just how useful it is to have a random crate that you can just throw pieces of wood in. You can always use more storage. If you're just starting to get into woodworking, this is also a really good project. You don't need really nice wood, you don't need really nice tools. It's great to learn how to measure and cut accurately, and how to assemble something on a very small budget that is something actually useful. You can make this project out of just about any wood that you have. You don't need to use super nice stuff, as I've said, which is why this is great if you're on a super tight budget. I'm using only pieces from a pallet and leftover screws. This project has cost me nothing but time. And lastly, this crate itself is not the nicest one that I've ever made, but you could very easily spruce this up by making better joins, perhaps using some dovetails or things like that to make the edges look cleaner. You could use nicer pieces of wood, you could clean up the handles, you could apply a nice coat of finish on it, and you could make this a very pretty project. Good enough to sell even, and I've seen people sell crates just like these all the time for tons of money. And here it is, our finished wooden crate, and it only took a couple of minutes to put the whole thing together. And I didn't spend a single penny making it. Every single piece of wood is free from pallets, and all of the hardware is salvaged as well. So this literally cost me nothing to make, and I'm sure that I'll get many years of use out of it. And as I've said, I think this project fills several very useful criteria. It's a very easy project to make, so if you're just getting into woodworking, it's the perfect one to give it a shot. It is useful enough that if you need storage for something, it's a good thing to make. It's scalable and quick enough to make, and you can modify it with whatever material, whatever hardware you would like, that you can easily make something like this nice enough to sell. And because of all those reasons, it really cements itself as one of my favorite projects. Well, if you're interested in some more behind the scenes content, like what I was thinking while I was making this project, what I've thought about my other projects, and some sneaky little extra content, consider checking out my Patreon, link down below. You get 2 extra videos a month there, as opposed to just the 2 that are here on YouTube. Otherwise though, thank you so much for watching. I hope you give this project a try, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.